What's up, friends? Super excited to be with you guys today because we are starting a new show, which is True Detective. I'm really looking forward to this show, not because I know anything about it, because I don't, but because of how much you guys have been hyping this one up. Several months ago, when the channel first was kind of in the early stages, this show was already being requested and talked highly about, and so I've been really wanting and waiting to check this one out for a while, and it won the poll over some other pretty good shows, and so that tells me that this is some good TV right here. So I'm very excited to check it out. Don't know what to expect going into it. I do know that the two stars are Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, which that's like unreal for a TV show to have that kind of talent heading up the cast, because obviously sometimes shows get people who act a lot in movies and stuff, but these are some like A-list names that you usually don't see attached to a show. Obviously, with it being a mini-series, it doesn't have to run as long, and so availabilities probably work out better, but I'm really excited to see their performances in this, and so I know it's going to be a very well-acted show. And as far as the story, I haven't heard anything about this, which surprises me, and I don't know if it's because the show hasn't been like watched enough or talked about enough, but really I've only heard it in name and nothing beyond that. I assume it's kind of like a mystery style show because it's got detective in the name, so I assume that they may be cops or something on a case, but that's the only thing that I could guess at this point. But looking forward to finding out more about it. Hopefully you guys are excited to watch or rewatch along with me. There will be 2 episodes a week going up on the Patreon, so this should be finished in just over a month, I believe. I think there's like 8 to 10 episodes, something like that, and so I'm looking forward to starting this journey with you all. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first episode of True Detective Season 1. HBO shows haven't let me down yet, so I'm expecting great things. Obviously, we just came off the impeccable Chernobyl, so looking forward to this. It amazes me sometimes what HBO is able to pull off casting-wise for these limited series and shows. It's a very interesting intro. If I were to judge based off some of the images in this intro, I would guess that we might be getting into some pretty dark stuff. Ooh, man, the lighting of this already so good. Love their use of shadows.
He come out of Texas, so nobody knew him. Took 3 months till we got him over to the house for dinner, around our big 419. That's what you all want to hear about, right? Dora Lang.
Talk about Cole.
Is this Matthew McConaughey they're talking about? Because they're talking about someone he's paired up with.
When we finally got him over to the house, poor bastard looked like he was on his way to the firing squad.
Dora Lang, the occult ritual murder.
His voice is so cinematic sounding, so bassy and rustic.
Vermilion Sheriff requested assistance with a 419. It was January the 3rd, 1995, my daughter's birthday. I remember.
I like the way they're doing these little recorded interviews with the two of them in the beginning to get a look at their personalities. Oh, so is this how the show's gonna be? Are they gonna be interviewing about the case we're watching in the past?
Hart and Cole, State CID. Who found her?
Farmer and his son.
So that's the place from the beginning, right? Because I recognize that tree. Oh, yikes, man. That's kind of a sick setup right there. Definitely looks like some cult stuff, like I think he mentioned. I don't even want to think about what that girl went through before she ended up at this spot.
Okay, tell me what you see.
Ligature marks on her wrist, ankles, and knees. Lividity at the shoulders, thighs, and torso. She'd been on her back a while before he moved her.
Always amazes me what cops and certain detectives can gather from just a scene that quick. It's very impressive work.
Yeah, of course, I've always taken a lot of notes. I mean, you never know what the thing's gonna be, do you? A little detail somewhere way down the line makes you say, breaks the case.
I don't know if it was the case or something else, but Matthew McConaughey definitely looked like he had some bad things happen to him between then and now.
A good detective, and any of those types could be an incompetent heel.
Which type were you?
Oh, I was just a regular type dude with a big-ass dick.
Nice. Got the confidence. I don't know what it is about Woody Harrelson, but anytime he's in a movie or in a scene or something, it always just feels so comforting or relaxing. I don't know what it is about his screen presence. Maybe it's his voice, I'm not sure.
Rust? Now, his Texas files were classified or redacted, and he wasn't big on talking, except when you wanted him to shut up.
Dang, he's a quick sketch artist. And that looked like one of the images from the start of the movie, or start of the episode. I'm probably going to keep saying movie accidentally because I'm not used to TV shows having this kind of a cast.
I'd offer you a seat, but,
Don't mention it, I can't stay.
Dang, this guy is one big minimalist. Holy cow.
Believe me, past a certain age, a man without a family can be a bad thing.
I like that line of dialogue. That's interesting and ominous. I wonder if the way he's living and the style of his apartment will reflect in his personality and mindset throughout the show.
it's fantasy enactment, ritual, fetishization, iconography. Decent odds she was a prost.
You got a chapter in one of those books on jumping to conclusions?
I love that interaction. That's great. Just separating their two ideologies when it comes to cases.
Stupid time to mention this, but you gotta come to dinner. Can't put Maggie off anymore, so you just gotta.
All right.
What does he mean by put Maggie off? I'm assuming that's his wife. Is there like some relationship or history between the two of them?
He decided it was a good time to invite me over for dinner, which I got a problem with. Because I'm thinking about how it's my daughter's birthday, and I know there's nothing I can do about it. I'm gonna have a drink.
Oh, goodness. If I understand that right, maybe he's like an alcoholic and he's been avoiding it? Oh, definitely makes me think there's some history there then. Some great subtlety in the writing and the acting so far, telling a lot more than what's just being shown.
You're Christian, yeah?
No.
So what do you believe?
I'd consider myself a realist, but in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist.
Okay, what's that mean?
It means I'm bad at parties.
That's one way to say it for sure.
We are things with total assurance that we are each somebody, when in fact everybody's nobody. The honorable thing for our species to do is walk hand in hand into extinction.
Dang, this guy has some pretty extreme views. Seems like the worst person to work on a cop case.
My luck, I picked today to get to know you. 3 months, I don't hear a word from you, and
You asked.
yeah, and now I'm begging you to shut the up.
Oh, jeez. Because, yeah, I feel like if you're going to be a good cop or detective, you have to have, like, a little bit of a hopeful attitude.
Got a bad taste in my mouth out here. Aluminum, ash. Like you can smell the psychosphere.
I got an idea. Let's make the car a place of silent reflection.
He's big time regretting conversing with them. That's not the girl, is it? Or maybe that's a new girl.
Listen, when you're at my house, I want you to chill the out. Don't even mention any of that bullshit you just said to me.
Of course not, Marty. I'm not some kind of maniac, right?
A little bit of tension there between them. That festers at all. It's certainly going to not make the case any easier to solve. I guess his appearance in the interview later on definitely makes sense if this is his attitude. Feels like the natural trajectory for someone that pessimistic about life.
She had antlers.
Well, we're gonna have to do a press conference. What about him? What do you think?
Doesn't care about making friends, but he's already running with it. He's got a real mind for it.
Definitely not quite the words I think he was wanting to use earlier in the car. Both of their acting so far, Woody and Matthew, are doing a great job.
Like I said, I'm feeling a lot of stuff hit me. Daughter's birthday, this dead woman. Figured I'd work the case. The state vice gave me some addresses to follow up on.
Dang, that doesn't seem like a very wise or healthy thing to do. That looked like medicine. I'm sure the prescribed amount was less than what he took.
Just hoping to ask y'all a few questions.
Come on, man.
I'll get the next round.
You making trouble for us, sir?
Looking to get some information on a woman.
Hold on. We'll take 2 large.
He's already having to pay up. Hasn't even gotten anything yet. Man must have a pretty big family with all those names on the door frame. He said earlier that Rust is dangerous because he doesn't have a family at his age, but I would feel like it's almost more dangerous to have a family in that line of work because they can definitely sway your emotions in one direction or be used against you.
5'5", blonde.
There's a girl named Liza, another called Destiny, but I seen Destiny yesterday at McDonald's.
What about Liza?
She's here.
Well, he struck out there. Wasn't the most helpful conversation.
You get pills pretty easy. Relax. I want some. Quaaludes.
Uppers are easier to get.
Yeah, but it's not like that.
What's it like?
I don't sleep.
Interesting. So he said he doesn't sleep, but the cup of medicine or the bottle of medicine he took earlier looked almost like a Dayquil or NyQuil type thing. So is it self-induced insomnia, or is he just trying to cure it?
Dora Kelly Lang. Address outside of St. Martinville. Landlord says she hadn't lived there in almost a year. Got an ex-Charlie Lang who's doing 8 in Voiles for bad checks.
He was busy last night. Dora was the name on that billboard that they drove by earlier, right?
What about this stuff?
Crown, for lack of a better word. Rose thorns, switchgrass, wrapped around a bent branch.
Ideas what any of this means?
It's all primitive, like cave paintings.
Man, well, I'm certainly 100% on board with this story so far. Love mysteries and detective mysteries, but especially ones that kind of deal with this creepy stuff. I just find it fascinating.
This place is like somebody's memory of a town, and the memory's fading. It's like there was never anything here but jungle.
That was a poetic line.
Stop saying shit like that.
Oh, dang, my man's hating on that line. What? I don't think he's going to find any leeway with his character, Rust.
You get any sleep last night?
I don't sleep. I just dream.
There's that odd thing again, immediately going on to another phrase like that. I'm a big fan of their relationship so far. Very entertaining. Interesting shot right there.
You believe in ghosts?
Wait, was that someone that wasn't alive that he just saw? Surely there's no other reason why he would have asked that question. Did he lose a daughter or something? Is that why he acts the way he does?
Did you know the Fontenelle girl? One went missing.
Her family come to our service once or twice. And y'all think maybe this have something to do with those cats? Somebody caught them up, turned the insides out, and nailed them to the front door.
Ew, disgusting, man. That's terrible. Definitely sounds like some occult stuff as well.
How about these?
Now that looked like something my old auntie taught us how to make when I was attacked. Old auntie told us that they were devil nets. You put them around the bed, catch the devil before he get too close.
So was the person who set that up doing it for the opposite of what they thought? Because they were saying they thought it might be like some devil worshippers.
What the hell is this?
Little girl said a green-eared spaghetti monster chased her through some woods. Now, we had her work with a sketch artist, and she told us that looked exactly right.
Oh, please don't tell me that was actually accurate, though, and we'll see someone who looks like that.
I have to call time out, make a beer run.
Well, why don't you hold off on that for a while?
All right, well, why don't you get it then?
Whoa, great transition right there. That was awesome.
Why is this so important to you all of a sudden?
Because it's Thursday and it's past noon. On my off days, I start drinking at noon. You don't get to interrupt that.
Man, he's putting in a great performance. I'm loving it. I love how they transitioned into actually being in the future moment right now as well. I thought it might have just been the recordings.
Dory owes me money. She ain't got no phone, so got a number to a friend Carla, got her to call me back, and she ain't made no sense. Talking about she met a king.
That's a new name. That sounds like a potential lead right there.
What Dory do?
Dory's dead. Thank you, boys. We almost had a moment there.
Is he going to go through all of those in this one sitting?
This is about something else. One in Lake Charles, maybe?
You know anything about that?
Yeah, let me see what you got.
Well, let's hear your story first. See how it fit with what we got.
What about that dinner you mentioned? He turned up drunk.
That's a smart way of keeping the audience oriented by switching their positions on the camera so I know who they're talking to. A lot of mental chess matches going on right now.
Can't barely stand up.
I don't drink because I've had trouble with it before. I didn't mean to.
Try to make 10 minutes of conversation. I'll call Chris or somebody, get you out of here.
Dang, that's too bad. He's dealing with a lot, clearly. Rough thing to be owned by a vice like that.
Your life's in this man's hands, right? Of course you should meet the family.
Not quite as dramatic as that, hon. I never fired my gun.
Have you ever fired your gun?
Yes.
You saw people?
They're getting straight to the juicy questions. Almost looks like Angry Rice, or Andrew, whatever the girl's name is from The Nice Guys.
Do you like your job?
Not exactly. It's worthwhile. I'm good at it.
You're not married?
Once. Not anymore.
Oh, I think I'm starting to put the pieces together. So was he married and they lost their daughter and that's what broke them apart?
She passed. Marriage didn't last long after that.
Oh, well, just in case I didn't get it then, the show wasn't going to let me not know what it was trying to tell me.
What are y'all talking about?
Your job. What do you know about him, Marty?
Not a lot. Uppity.
You ever ask him about himself?
Baby, trust me, he did not want to pick to smash brain.
Whoa, that's a great point. I didn't even consider that he probably doesn't know that information, and that may have been one of the few people that he told that information to, because we clearly saw how closed off he was before.
Thank you for dinner, Maggie.
And he's staying as well.
So you need to go or what?
There's nothing, can't wait till tomorrow.
What you were saying before?
Oh, we can find something nicer to talk about.
Wow, I love the writing of this. This is so well done. He just needs the right person to interact with and it'll open up.
What happened between me and him don't have nothing to do with Dora Lang. I worked with Russ Cole for 7 years.
Dang, so this is taking place way longer than I thought it was. I thought it was just a couple months. There's a long distance of time between it.
But why am I talking about dinner? Y'all want to walk through the Lang case? Fine. This other stuff, what's going on?
We just heard some stories.
Huh, so either there's something new that opened up about this Dora case, or there's something else going on that it hasn't showed us yet between these two. Big fan of the storytelling, though. It's definitely grabbed my interest at this point.
Your case has a lot of people taking care. Doors locking where they used to not.
We've been discussing the viability of a task force to investigate crimes with an anti-Christian connotation.
Really?
And this case is blowing up to be something a lot more. Doesn't seem like they're gonna have an easy road.
Anti-Christian. Who the said he?
Governor Edwin Tuttle.
That makes sense.
Hi. I'm looking for a stack of depositions.
Oh, he got up quick for that. Alexandra Daddario, man. She definitely elevated the show with her presence.
Is that
The depositions. I thought I should walk you through them.
Oh, great. Let's just find a place to talk. Thanks, Kathleen.
Thank you.
The way that Marty got up there, I don't know if he was just interested in whatever information she had.
Did you know Marie's birth father?
Lynn?
We had heard that Marie ran off with him.
That's what Debbie said.
Do you know where Debbie is now?
She was in Vegas last we heard.
Interesting shot. That was cool. So they were asking her about Marie. Which one was Marie? Because the other girl's obviously named Dora. Is this just some other missing girl? Is there going to be something on the property? Surely this lady knew about it if it's just right in the backyard. Was she hiding something? Oh, shoot. Dang, it's the same setup as the evidence site at the beginning. No way that's a coincidence.
So what does she look like? I want to like Joe.
Can you tell us anything about that, Mr. Cole?
Yeah, it looks a lot like the one from 95.
Oh, gosh. That looks like a very similar style to the other one.
My question is,
how could it be him if we already caught him in 95? How indeed, detectives?
I figured you'd be the one to know.
And start asking the right questions.
Interesting. So that one that they just showed from 95, was that before the other case that they saw? And he's saying, how could it be him? Because they caught the guy from that one, so he couldn't have done the Dora case. So is that why he knew so much going into that site with Dora, is because he'd already seen the same thing before and it just didn't show us that he knew yet? Hopefully I'm interpreting that correctly. Alright, well, a super interesting first episode for True Detective. Really like the characters and the story so far. Love the mystery that it's set up in that first episode. Very interested in seeing where the case goes from here on out, and I love the way that they interwove kind of the future and the past and used that as a tool for some very interesting and surprising reveals throughout the episode. And I feel like they really covered so much ground in that episode, and so by the end of the series I feel like they'll have covered a ton of stuff stuff. I was thinking that maybe it would just kind of be more slow moving through one case. That's kind of what I'm used to from shows like this, at least, but it seems like that they're not going to waste any time, that they're just going to move from scene to scene and just cover a lot of stuff. And it seems like a show that you really have to pay attention hard to and look for all the little details. It seems like it helps you out in some moments, but definitely a show that seems to require an active viewer. But I'm very excited to continue on with this series. Loved the acting in that first episode. I think they did a great job of setting up those two main characters of Marty and of Russ. They have very contrasting personalities, but also they're just both very distinct and unique, and they bring something positive and negative to the table, each of them. Rust is a very detail-oriented, experienced guy, it seems like, but he also struggles with a lot of bad habits, and his pessimistic attitude seems to affect things in certain areas of his work, especially interacting with Marty. But Marty, while he's kind of the more optimistic, upbeat, hopeful person, maybe you could say, who seems to have a strong family support at home, he's definitely not the best at necessarily understanding other people and kind of connecting with them. He seems to be a little bit judgmental of other people, which obviously we saw in the dinner conversation with his wife and Rust. He isn't able to access the information that he needs from even his own partner, and so if he can't do that well, then surely it would hinder him in cases he works in not being able to gather the right information. And maybe that will come up later on, and I look forward to seeing maybe how these characters grow. Obviously they have grown because we've seen them in their future states, which I didn't realize was so far in the future, but I'm excited to see the show kind of help me to put the pieces together. And I love the way that the dialogue and everything else was written in this episode. Really enjoyed how they told a story that was so much more than just what we were seeing and shown in the frames, and always makes for a much better and more engaging experience when I feel like I get this bigger grasp than just the 50 minutes, hour long, whatever the episode length is. And so I hope that that continues throughout the show. Another highlight for me in this episode, which I'm sure will continue as well, was the lighting and the color grading. I thought was just phenomenal, just so well done. Every scene I thought was so well lit and really added to a great mood. And so clearly, even just after one episode, it's evident that the crew behind this series is very, very talented. So I know I'm in good hands going forward with the series. And it was cool to see beyond Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson that there were a couple other recognizable faces in the cast as well, which makes for an even more stacked list of actors. Obviously Michelle Monaghan realized in the opening credits, and I think I actually did know that Alexandra Daddario was in this show. I just had forgotten it, and so that's probably why when she showed up that I didn't have like any sort of shocked reaction, because it was just like, oh, that's right, she's in the show. I think I'd heard her mention that in an interview or some other video at some point. But lastly, I also just appreciated how this show seems to not hold anything back from its storytelling. It knows what its story is, which is very dark and gritty and graphic, but it's not going to deprive the viewer of getting a perfectly clear glimpse into that world, into that case that they're experiencing. And so I'm sure that will make payoffs and the later episodes much more satisfying, because you're getting such a much more clear picture with it. And so I appreciate that they're going all into the story. Makes it a lot more eerie as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me for the first episode. Excited to get into the next episode, and I will see you all then. Peace.